Hey, what's going on? Sorry, oh, Friday there. Well, it's Friday, and if you're watching on Bitchute, it is giving me issues loading up videos. I had a problem with it for a while whenever I first started doing videos, and then it seemed to be working fine, and now it's giving me problems for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know. Hopefully, I can figure it out. Maybe I just need to go ahead and try to look it up to maybe I can find something on YouTube or an article or something to figure out why my videos don't load. It looks like everything goes fine. And then all of the sites, they have a processing that they do. Never an issue with any of them. YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, whatever. No issue. Except BitChute. I don't know. Anyways, it is Friday, and this is whenever I wanted to talk about what does all of this mean that we've been talking about this week. What are the vitamins, the supplements, the diet, the nutrition, I guess really fasting, and the vitamins? What does that mean? What am I going to do now that I've looked at this? Some of this stuff, like the vitamins, I've taken some of them. I don't know if there's anything that I'm really going to change. Well, I guess I am going to change a little bit in that I'm going to take them a little more actively. I don't take them just regularly at all. So, and it depends, it's going to depend on the price. So there's one, for example, that's NMN, and that stands for, I'm not even going to try to pronounce this, but this is with David Sinclair. He works at Harvard with anti-aging. I have one video about him, so we'll watch a little bit of it. It's supposed to be fantastic, and that you find this chemical in every single plant and animal, and even I think like mushrooms and fungus and stuff too. But it's like in almost every single living organism out there. And as you get older, you produce less of it, and so it's like this really huge thing. It's also very expensive. Part of it is that it's also relatively new. They've known about it for, I guess, like 15 years. You know, unlike creatine, which they've known for decades. I mean, longer than I've been alive. And they've done a lot of studies on creatine, and it's just like there's just nothing wrong with this at all. Whenever you get into supplements, some of those supplements are whenever you're getting into weightlifting, because a lot of those they do have results to them because they have steroids in them. Whenever it comes to vitamins, though, and minerals, it's like, well, no. There might be a few of them that if you take them in just ridiculously stupid high doses, then you might have some kind of problems. But it's like it's stupid levels of high doses that you need to take with this. So if you've been watching and you are concerned about your health, because I tell you what, one of the things that's happened is that whenever I was younger, I thought I was never be into this. It's like, no, what the hell do I need this for? And now that I'm older, it's like, yeah, that's kind of like naive, stupid little punk kid who thinks that they know something. It's like, no, I didn't know anything. And as I get older and I see things happening with people who are like 20 years older, my aunts, uncles, that age range right there, and seeing the health problems that they have, their bodies just decaying, seeing people who are also then my age who do not take care of themselves. Because I tell you what, there are sharp contrasts now between me and other people. Because whenever, for example, if you're overweight and you don't exercise, holy crap, whenever you're young, your body's just strong. And it's just able to kind of help you keep up. So it doesn't look as bad. But when you get older, it's like, oh, hell yes. Because I have several friends who are overweight, and damn, dude, they don't want to do anything. It is so hard. And they're on all kinds of pills and prescriptions, and it's friends and family alike. And it's like, well, what did you expect? We've heard this, and it's like exercising. You know, nobody ever says anything ever bad about exercising, unless if you're just like training incredibly hard because you're an athlete. But if you're not an athlete, because and it's not your job to train, you know, like if you're a professional basketball player, football player, whatever, it's like, well, yeah, that's different. But if not, then the rest of us, it's like, well, you're not going to really deal with that, you know, just work out and it's like, do it. Because even younger, it was like I could see that, you know, with people who were lean versus people who weren't. You can't see that with the vitamins. You know, that's not nearly as obvious. But now that I'm older and I'm having these issues myself, and whenever I actually take some of these things, it's like, oh crap, it actually worked. It took a while for it to kick in because it's got to get through your system. So you have to be patient. You should give all of these things a basic starting minimum of 2 weeks, but realistically it should be closer to a month. And it's also, it's not like it's just gonna knock you out like bam, oh wow, that was just from night to day. It's not that dramatic, but it is enough with a lot of these where it's like yes, and then there are plenty too where you're not gonna see it, and it's because it's just doing things inside of you, and it's just, unless if you're some kind of chemist or something like that and you're taking blood work, you just don't know. But whenever you have all of these doctors just saying constantly that no, if you know how to read the research and you understand all of this stuff, it's clear. So if these are things that you're interested in too and want to make things better for yourself, then give the video a like, give it a subscribe. I have 2 YouTube channels. One is Practical Focus Improvement, which is this one where I try to focus in on improving myself, and I'm going to touch on as much as I can. I'm never going to run out of subject material because it's your mental health, your physical health, it's your education, your finances, your attitude, relationships with your spouse, your family, your friends, your children, your coworkers, your boss. It's just your personal thing with handling your depression and being happy, because whenever you're too happy, then that's manic and maniacs, and they're all kind of tied, and it's like it's whenever you don't have a control over it, and it's like those people aren't real good either. Having, you know, like delayed gratification, discipline, and self-control with these things, and then also being consistent with having a consistent diet and exercise program. And you know, it's not just diet and exercise for your body, but it's also, well, are there any things that we need to be doing for our eyes, for our hearing, for our tongue, for our taste, for our skin, hearts, lung, liver, kidneys? I mean, it's like plenty. And then there's books and books on all that stuff. And then the other channel is Freedom of Expression, where current news, politics, government, just kind of whatever's kind of going on. And we've been talking about diet. And so with eating and fasting, dietary restriction, which is limiting what you eat or don't eat, eating some things and not others. For example, maybe not eating red meat and no fish. With that, the only thing I'm going to do is, I guess I'm going to split this up right here. I'm going to put this into eating. No more sugar. And then only birthdays, special occasions. Carbs getting cut. Other than that, I hear pros and cons with a lot of this stuff, and it just depends on what it is that you're doing. So it's like you don't need just a whole lot of protein. You need protein. The more you exercise and the more you want your muscles to be, then you do need to take in more protein. But if not, then having too much protein can actually be a bad thing. And I've known this for a while, and so I have that protein powder, and whenever I put in a scoop, I don't ever fill it up. And it's because it's a little pricey too, but it's like I'm not a big bodybuilder. I'm not a weightlifter. I'm nothing that needs that much protein. But also, again, like with so many of these things, is that as you get older, it just gets harder for your body to deal with it. So it's like, yeah, a full scoop, no, but if I am still getting a little extra because I'm not that big, it's like, I'm old. And I wanted to show this video about Joe Rogan and what his supplements are. And I've seen this, I forgot what clip this is taken from what episode, but I saw this because he was talking to, I think he's a comedian, and he was getting older and he was having health problems, and he was like, yes, I think I'm going to start doing all this too. And I wish I would have taken this. Well, part of the problem was that whenever I was younger, we didn't have access to all this information because it wasn't like whenever I was in my 20s, it's like, internet, what are you talking about? You know, or a computer. It was just coming out, so I didn't have it. So I really couldn't. That's one of the things that I really contribute a lot to being in really good health right now. I mean, I don't know if I'm as strong as what I was whenever I was in the Army, but my weight is really close to what it was whenever I was in the Army and even in high school, because I've taken a lot of it off. And it's because now it's like, it's just jammed packed with all this information. I wish I had this whenever I was younger. Maybe I would have taken it a little bit differently if it was this intense. But let's listen to Joe and kind of some things that he takes.
Being aware that it was really the caffeine.
Yeah.
Do you take the, what is it, nootropic?
Nootropics.
Nootropics.
Yeah, I take them.
You do?
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
I want to take more stuff. I really do. I'm so into, I kept, for a long time, I was like, I'm not taking anything. And now I'm at a point where it's like, we live in the 21st century. It's time to start taking some stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of time to grow up with this stuff. Because earlier in the episode, he was talking about how he's having these issues. He's older. He's Joe's age, or maybe even a little bit older. And it's like, technology's come too far. Like, we just do so many amazing things with technology. And just to say that it hasn't done things in health, that we don't know these things, it's like, the hell we do? So, no, screw that. It's time to get on board, you know, as to exactly what it needs to be. I don't know. I'm not your doctor. I couldn't tell you, but I would also advise not to ignore it.
Like what kind of stuff?
I take vitamin D now.
That's good. D3?
D3.
Yeah.
Yes, and so D3. So that was one of them. And I can't find the video because it would be a couple of years old by now, where he was talking about it, and he was talking about vitamin D3 and 5,000 IUs, and I have that already. And I've taken some of them, and I bought it where it was a deal for 2 for 1. And I'm going to start taking these, I think, like I do with all of them, and that's Monday through Friday. I'm not going to be too concerned about not taking any of these things on Saturday or Sunday, unless if there's like some big reason why I need to, or if it's just incredibly cheap, then maybe then. But man, some of this stuff gets really damn expensive. But like I said before, is that because I've lost the weight, my food intake has gone down, and so my food bill is a lot less. So it's like, yeah, I can do this stuff. And then you also have to look at, you know, how long does it last? So it's like, yeah, one of these might be like $30. It costs a little bit, but whenever it's only like one a day, like, oh, okay, well, it's $1. It's like, well, I was spending several dollars more every single day, you know, $10 to $15 every single day because I was stuffing my face. Because part of it was that you got to go out and eat like fast food stuff, and that stuff is expensive, and it's loaded on calories, so gain weight that way. Yeah.
Very good. Very important. That's good, right?
Yeah. Well, the only way you get it is through the sun or through certain foods. It's particularly important for vegans.
Right.
B12 and B3 are two of the most common things.
B12 too.
Yeah, because it comes.
Does this one have B12 in it? B12. B12. I think this is just D3. Yeah, it's just D3. And this is one of the cheaper ones right here. And so if you go looking around to find whatever works for you, you know, like I said yesterday, don't buy anything from China whenever it comes to any kind of food, supplements, or anything like that, because they do a bunch of screwy things over there. You definitely want to get it from a source where it's like, no, it's been vetted some way. So B12 or D12, I don't know about that one. Maybe he said B12, because this one is a B one that I have, and that's got B12, because this I don't always hear it too well with some of this stuff, and they miss it all the time with this closed caption stuff. And I like to play it fast. I'm not going to slow that crap down.
It's from animals. We get it primarily, B12 especially, we get it primarily from animal protein, and they apparently get it from vet.
Okay, so that might be it too, is if you get it from animal protein. I have no problems eating pork, chicken, and beef or whatever, so I can't imagine. This is from 2017, so I was probably thinking, if I saw this, is that meat's not an issue. I don't give a damn.
Bacteria, and the only way vegans can get it is in certain forms of bacteria and microorganisms. Like you have to eat living things to get it.
All right, so B12 I should add also?
B12's huge. B12's big. D3 is big.
D3.
DHEA, or not DHEA.
Yeah, and so D3, and also just making sure that you're going outside in the sun. But it's only like 15 to 30 minutes. So if you're just going outside, which, you know, that's all that it is, you can't cover yourself up. You can't put on sunscreen. It's not an issue for me. I'm getting that, so.
DHA, fish oil.
Oh, really? Fish oil?
So this is the big one, though, that I had to learn about. This is one that I did this beforehand, and I didn't get too much into it. And so this one is GNC. This is an older bottle. I'm sure it doesn't look like this anymore. It's triple strength fish oil, 1400 joint support. Actually, I may have just done this on my own because I was having issues with my joints. And it's 900 milligrams total, omega-3 fatty acids, EPA, and DHA. And then there's a video that we're going to watch here with Dr. Rhonda Patrick, and she said that it needs to have triglyceride in it for transportation. And this one has chain triglyceride, so I guess medium chain triglyceride. So man, apparently I did all right. And we'll look at the prices of some of this stuff just so everyone has kind of an idea of what to expect.
Well, yeah, omega-3s and 6s, super.
And why am I listening to Joe Rogan? Because he constantly brings in doctors. Dr. Rhonda Patrick, Dr. Jordan Peterson, and I know he's not so much a dietitian, though it is a big thing for him because he does have a lot of personal health issues. And Dr. David Sinclair, for example, and it's like that's his spiel. He brings in experts, and he's really big on his health, so he's always really bringing in all these dietitians and scientists and just who are experts in this. And he's heard so much of it that it's kind of I'm willing to put him definitely higher on the list than the average person. Definitely more so than my friends and family. Dr. Rhonda Patrick is much higher than him, though. So
they're super important for brain function.
Omega what?
Omega-3s and
right.
6s.
Do you take that as a supplement?
Yes, I do.
So 6s, it's like I don't know what 6s are. I didn't hear anything about it until this. I've looked into enough of this that it's just like I'm kind of done for right now. I'll probably have to come back and do this again to fill in some more of these gaps.
You can get
because I'm hoping that one of the things that also happens is that the NMN lowers in price. Because that's we'll see this with David Sinclair here with all this right now, and it's like $1,000. It depends. It can be as low as $1,500 a year if you buy it in bulk with a friend who will spend the other $1,500, so $3,000 together. You get a discount buying in bulk, as with anything.
Some of it from flax oil and from hemp oil, but it's not as effective as fish oil. I mean, this is taking out ideology and,
And so, yeah, you kind of got to watch this a little bit. So Dr. Rhonda Patrick, who's the expert with this, is like, no, because there's 2 of them, or 3 of them. There's the ALA, which you get from eating chia, flax seeds, walnuts, soybeans, and hemp seeds. But then the other 2, EPA and DHA, are fatty acids. Get that from salmon, and that was fish. If you're eating fish, but not all fish are the same, salmon was the best. I think I'm gonna have to dig my heels in a little bit and do some salmon. I don't think it's too bad. I've been a steak and potatoes kind of guy here with all the cattle that we got. So yeah, but I'm gonna do that. And this weekend, whenever I go shopping, that is going to be on my list. Because it's supposed to be cheap too, so it's like, yeah, chia, flaxseed.
eating plants versus eating animals. Scientists uniformly believe that fish oil is the better method for absorbing those things.
But then you go online and you look up fish oil, and there's just as many articles that fish oil does nothing.
Well, omega-3
I'm so glad he said that.
and 6 is a critical.
Right.
That's what fish oil is.
You just know. So you get that from the fish oil.
Yeah, there's no.
Because watching him, he'll bring on people who are on both sides of the argument with it. And I tell you what, it's just usually one side just gets smoked because one side, they'll be both looking at research papers that have been done, except it seems like a common thing that happens is that, yeah, they did that research and it was wrong. And here's 1, 2, 3, 4 reasons why it was wrong, because of A, B, and C with 1, and A, B, and C with 2, and A, B, and C with 3, and it's like, oh, damn. And then the other side has nothing. And another common thing that always seems to happen is that there's only one. There's only 1 or 2. And it's like the same thing. So whenever I was looking into it with fish oil, that came up. It's like they were only citing like 1 or 2 studies. And the other side, who were all for it, was like, there's a ton of studies saying how good this is. And that study that they did was flawed, and everyone knows why. Here's the reasons to it. And it's like, you're done. And it's because there's not a good enough verification system with all of this stuff. And those people shouldn't be allowed to be able to just randomly go out and spread lies like that. You know, it's like they should, but there should be accountability. It's like, yeah, they're saying this, and you shouldn't be. No one should stop you from being able to say anything. But that doesn't mean that there's a lack of accountability and responsibility for that. I know how to deal with that.
No, about that. So someone saying that fish oil does nothing, that's nonsense.
It's nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, what does it do? I mean, here's the number one big deal. People think that they like to take things and then feel an immediate result.
Right.
And what you're doing when you're taking...
Yeah, and that's not going to happen. Whenever I was taking this for my joint pains, it took, I think, a little over 2 weeks before I started noticing it. And it was like, oh, man, this feels really good. And then I stopped, but I was also losing the weight, and that helped. But apparently there's a lot more going on to it with it helping with, like... we're going to see.
Vitamins and supplements and eating healthy food is you're building your body with these materials.
And he talks about, yeah, if you eat cake, your body's going to build yourself out of cake. And it's like, no, you don't want to. One of the things, too, that I've noticed through all of this, just doing this last week, is that it is incredibly important to eat a wide variety of foods. Because it's like, you just can't eat fish. I mean, fish is good for getting the fish oils, but if all you're eating is fish, you're not getting the rest of this stuff. So, you know, if anything, if you wanted to start off somewhere, just make sure that you have a very wide variety of foods that you're eating. Lots of different green vegetables all over the place, different kinds of meat, different kinds of fishes, grains, nuts, seeds. You know, can't pig out on any of this stuff, but have a variety. Mushrooms, if you want to try that natto stuff, it's Notta. It's a Japanese thing. It supposedly smells and tastes absolutely horrific. Supposed to be really good for you because it's like Greek yogurt. It's a bacteria fungus kind of thing, and it looks disgusting too. It's like just whenever I see people and it's just slimy whenever they're picking it up, it's like, oh my, it looks like something that came up through your behind and came out your nose. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
And over time, like weeks or months, like this wacky diet that I'm on, initially it didn't feel good.
It didn't?
No, the lack of sugar did not feel good.
And I've heard that, and I've heard that for years because I had friends and family that whenever the Atkins diet came on out, it was like no sugars at all. And that also meant that there was no vegetables and even a lot of, or no fruits and even quite a few vegetables. And they all talked about having headaches. And it was like, I don't know if I want to do that. But it's only a few days and then you kind of get over it. And then supposedly you feel really good. And then they talk about juices and the red wine. Red wine's supposed to be pretty good. And I've heard that one for a while, but I'm not too interested in that. Talking about juices that, you know, whenever you drink a big old glass and like a big glass of orange juice, it's like it's a whole bunch of oranges that you had to squeeze in that. And that's not natural and it's just loaded with sugar. And because you're not eating the actual pulp and kind of the innards of it, it's just the juice. That's the fiber that you're leaving out. And even whenever it has pulp, it's like it's still a lot of the orange is gone. So, you know, if you want orange juice, no, go eat an orange.
Right. It's probably like 7 oranges. Like, who the fuck sits down and eats 7 oranges?
And then another thing was that part of that diet variety is because a lot of this stuff is seasonal. So, for example, in the middle of winter, whenever there's snow all over the place, you wouldn't be eating oranges because the orange trees aren't producing. And 80% of the population, of the entire global population, lives like extremely close to a water source. Because it doesn't matter what the temperature is like outside or what's going on with the weather at all, there's always fish. It makes sense to me at least. So if we've been eating fish forever, all year round, since the dawn of time, and then you're going to tell me we need fish oils, it's like, well, yeah, maybe so.
In fact, it does.
Yeah, in a positive way.
Well, yeah, that's how your body's supposed to get sugar.
Right.
It's supposed to be attached, almost like.
And they talk about whether if not, if even fruit's really worth it. But it, in very light moderation, that we kind of eat way too much. That you're not going to eat fruit 24/7 all year round anywhere in the world because it's just a plant. And so even if it is hot and warm, they have a period in the year where they produce fruit, and then for the rest of the year, those 7-8 months later, there's no fruit, so you can't eat it no matter what you want to do. So
Rogan, do you take those two?
No, just glucosamine.
Those are both really good. Glucosamine's good. Glucosamine was actually, I think, I might be wrong about this. This came from this book by this guy, Dr. Joel Wallach, who wrote this book called Dead Doctors Don't Lie. And he was talking about mineral deficiencies and how few doctors really do understand nutrition and how they give you really shitty advice, but really they're completely uneducated. They might be a good podiatrist or...
Yeah, and you know why? Because there's so much information out there. Dr. Rhonda Patrick knows a very, very small, limited thing, and so it's to know several, and so that's why we're also going to look a little bit into David Sinclair,
orthopedic surgeon or what have you.
Right.
But how many of them actually understand the mechanisms of nutrition? That's where Dr. Rhonda Patrick comes in.
Right.
She's a fucking genius when it comes to that. Like,
right.
Whenever I have any questions about different nutrients or vitamins, and she will just go over the tests, and she's super analytical and objective about it.
Right.
Too. Like, she'll tell you the pros and cons and goods and bads and what could happen, what could be going on, what is definitely going on.
Right.
So there's a lot going on when you're eating food. There's a lot going on when you're taking the nutrients.
Yeah. And a multivitamin. I take a multi, but there's so many.
Yeah, one multivitamin is problematic too because you're taking something that's condensed down to one heart.
And I've heard this, that they do that. They pack it all into a multivitamin, and that it makes it very hard for the body to digest. And if you're really wanting something like that, to do a powder, because all powders, like drugs, for example, like cocaine, it's powder form, and it's because it's much easier for you to digest. So if you decided that you wanted to take a multivitamin, if you could crush that thing up, that would probably help a lot into a fine powder.
Or little cube.
Oh, yeah.
And you drop it out, and you're hoping your body digests it and kind of absorbs it. I find that powdered ones in capsule form, at least I think, absorb better in the body. Mm-hmm. And I take a pack. I take a pure Athlete's Pure packs.
Writing it down.
So I had to look that up because I hadn't heard of this one, but I looked it up. So here it is, Athlete's Pure Pack. And with this one right here, 30 packets, $82. I'm not spending that kind of money on this crap. That's over the top for me, man. Like, I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it, and so it's just, but I wanted to throw that out there. I wanted people to be aware. You know, maybe it's worth it. I'm not saying one way or the other. It's just, it's kind of pricey. It's 30 days worth. 1 month.
Yeah, it's Pure Encapsulations is the brand that I use, and they have these Athlete's Pure packs. They have like two.
Does it rub off on you a little bit? Yeah.
And he takes 2 a day. He said he takes 2 a day, so he's spending twice as much.
The amount of time I've been hanging out with him,
Yeah.
starting to. I need to take advantage of it, but
Wow, man, you're alive.
There's a reason it sounds so shitty. You take in the morning, like 12?
No, in the morning, especially lately.
Yeah.
The morning, I've relaxed a lot of what I do as far as like my diet.
Yeah.
Because in the morning, a lot of times I'm not hungry.
I know.
And I used to eat.
That's what I've heard.
They talk about when they eat, and he's talking about how he kind of eats later. And I think he's changed his mind on this one, because whenever this video was created, and this is Joe Rogan on vitamins, fruit juice, and supplements by MMA World in 2017. I think whenever he did this one, I don't know if it was in 2017 or if it was a year before that. Maybe it was in 2017. No, it had to be. It had to be the year before.
Breakfast is not your most important meal. It's just a meal.
The idea of like loading up.
But I don't.
Right.
You ramp it up.
But now, you know, because we saw the stuff about circadian rhythms, and he didn't know about it, and I know that was in 2018 or 2019 on that video. So I don't think he was aware of that.
The carb loading, your body has to process all that shit, and it's like, whoa.
The nice cup. It's Mike.
Not a little bread fat.
Okay. So then here is Dr. David Sinclair, and he is a professor out there at Harvard, and he does all this stuff. So.
Add them on to the mice personally.
Well, you know, most of the time I'm in a lab and trying to run
Sorry about that.
companies to make these books a reality. Daily, I try to keep a healthy weight. I do intermittent fasting. It's pretty easy. I'm so busy I forget to eat.
How many hours do you give yourself per day?
Well, I suffer from late night snacking, but I try to skip breakfast and even skip lunch if I'm busy. A lot in the morning or a lot at night. Process is that.
Fuels, and it would be as effective as intermittent fasting?
I think molecules will be better. And not only that, when we...
So from his research that he's been doing with anti-aging, so this video is called Anti-Aging Doctor's Key to Looking Younger, Joe Rogan, and this is from JRE Clips, Joe Rogan Experience Clips. And this is a portion of his broadcast of 1234 with David Sinclair.
Add them on to a healthy diet and exercise in animals, they do even better. It's like supercharged mouse.
Now, when you add them on to the mice, do you also add them on with intermittent fasting? And is there an additional benefit?
We do. One of the first molecules that, infamous molecules that we are known for is resveratrol from red wine. That molecule, discovered in my 30s, so at least linked it to aging. What we showed was that if you give it to a fat mouse, they're as healthy as a thin mouse. They live just as long, they get heart disease and all the other bad stuff. Then what we did was...
And that's why they use mice. That was something else that I saw today looking through these videos, is that the reason why they use mice is because it's like all the problems that we have, it's like mice have them too. Not all of them, but like a ton of them. It was like insane. And so that's why they're used, because not only do the mice have the same problems that we do, but what solves their problems usually solves it for us too. Not all the time. I mean, they're still mice. But it's like, that was really interesting to know. It's like, okay, well, that's why mice then? Okay.
We gave it to the mice here every day. We let them skip a meal every day so that they were fed every other day. And that combination of resveratrol plus every other day feeding, we had the longest lifespan we've ever seen. And so it was additive. Same with exercise. If we give our latest molecule, called MN, to a mouse, And the exercise.
And it's not man, Enemin. So Enemin, NMN. Holy crap, that stuff is just insanely expensive. I don't have it because I found this video. Consider these things before taking NMN, and his channel is called My NMN Experience. He has it divided up into segments where he just kind of has this opening here, then he talks about what it is. This is the name. No, that's not. Okay. So NMN is...
What is NMN? So NMN, or nicotinamide mononucleotide, to give it its full name, is a precursor to NAD. NMN as a daily supplement has one function, and that is to raise depleted NAD levels. So NAD, or nicotinamide...
So he goes into what NMN is, and then the trials, and that how it does like this increased lifespan, and just does all these great things for mice. Nothing with humans just yet. They're just kind of doing this a little bit, but supposedly all of these doctors, where they're looking into anti-aging, are just all over this thing. Dr. Sinclair, man, he's like, he's using it and he's giving it to his entire family. I mean, like parents, brothers, sisters, children, spouse, all of them. It is incredibly expensive. Dosage, and it's not a lot, but they don't really know. 24 milligrams. So for me, he was saying it would be 2 grams for him, and then based off of what he was saying, it would be about 2 grams for me too. And then the expense, here we'll go to the buying in bulk, because if you
in bulk. You could consider reducing the cost of NMN by making a bulk purchase. Now, pharmaceutical grade, if you buy it from Amazon, as we've said before, is about $5.80 per gram. Now, you can buy and ship pharmaceutical grade from China for about $2,500 a kilo.
Screw that China
about
stuff.
$2 to $2.50.
If for some reason, if you bought China, you better check, double check, triple check, and then triple check again to make sure that, man, no.
Per gram. That's more than a 50% saving. Now, the shelf life of NMN is 2 years. So to prevent having to throw half of it away, you may want to split the cost with a friend, and that will give you both a 1 year, 5 month supply. If you share the cost, a 1 year, 5 month supply will then cost you $1,400. If you bought this from Amazon,
It's expensive. It's expensive. So anyways, I'm throwing this little bit in for NMN because one of the reasons why it's so expensive is because it's relatively new. They've only known about it for maybe 10 years or something like this. And there's no demand for it. If people really wanted it, and created a market for it, then there'd be a lot more production, and that would bring the price down.
It'll run even further than it could with either of those alone. So it's not an excuse to sit around and just eat chips and watch TV. It augments a healthy lifestyle, gets you further than what you could get naturally.
So
do it all.
Are you seeing a benefit in addition? So is the idea to compound all those things together?
Exactly. Right. So you asked about myself.
And so he's talking about doing NMN, dieting and not eating, and really restricting how much food that you're taking, because that was one of the things that they found with mice, is that if you cut what they're eating by 20%, it has a really obvious, notable effect on their lifespan and increasing it. It's like, really? So it may not be that much with us. Or actually, it might be more, because another reason why they use the mice is because their lifespan is only like 2 or 3 years. They don't live very long. And so, yeah, if their life is only like 2 or 3 years and ours can be up to 100, and you had a 20% increase, I mean, even if it was only 5%, because we live so much longer, that would still be years, and productive years, where you're just able to still go out and to do stuff, and you're just not wasting away in bed or some nonsense.
I eat healthy. I try to skip meals. I also take supplements. And in fact, most of my colleagues are in the field of aging, anti-aging, as people call it. So I take NMN every morning. What is NMN? Good question. So,
let me pull up who he is. All right, so David Sinclair right here, David Andrew Sinclair, and I'm just going to click on his Wikipedia here. Born in Australia, who is a professor of genetics and co-director of the Paul Glenn Center for Biology of Aging Research at Harvard Medical School. He is known for his research on aging with a focus on epigenetics, and he is an officer of the Order of Australia, whatever the hell that is. And that's like his thing. It's just, he is a scientist working on anti-aging because he views it as more of a disease instead of just something that we kind of have to do. That there's, in other words, there's a cure. That there's things that we can do to stop aging and dying. That's the look that him and several others are taking. They're looking into it that way, and they're having some results with it.
let me take a quick step back. Sure. So about 20 years ago, Lenny Ferrenti and a team of us at MIT discovered a set of genes that controls aging in yeast cells. Just rose yeast, what we find in beer.
Yeah, so just about 20 years ago, they just found it, and it affects everything: yeast cells, plant cells, animal cells, all of it.
And those genes are called sirtuins, and there's 7 of them in our bodies, 5 in yeast. And what they do is they protect all organisms on the planet, plants, bacteria, humans, from deterioration and disease. They're like the Pentagon. They sense when we're hungry, sense when we're exercising, and they send out the troops to defend us. So when you put more of these genes into a yeast cell or a mouse, they'll live longer, between 5 to 20% longer. And so we think that these genes are responsible for the effects of dieting and exercise, which is great. What that means is we can now mimic that with molecules. So NMN is one of those molecules, so is resveratrol.
And so what he was saying right there is that these molecules, NMN, has the same effects as dieting and exercise. And dieting and exercise, they've known forever, have all of these really good benefits, which is why they've been spouting it forever, and there's never been any blowback against it.
You can think of resveratrol as the accelerator pedal for the sirtuin genes, and the NMN is the fuel. And without fuel, resveratrol won't work, so NMN is the gas in the car.
I've heard of resveratrol.
Anyways, that's good enough to get a handle on kind of where he's going with all of this. The video is 16 minutes long. We're not going to listen to the whole thing. I'll have a link in the description below, so if you want to, you can. And then it's expensive, and I'll put this one. Consider these things before taking NMN. I'll have that video as well. And then here's the one with the omega-3 fatty acids right here in supplementation.
However, that has changed since we last talked, is you had really gone deep and published a paper around the phospholipid form of...
And see, I don't want the bro science guys who are hitting the gyms like, yeah. She is publishing papers. She is doing the work. She's as good as you're going to get. Not to say that she's perfect, but it's about as good as you can find right now.
omega-3s and its benefits. I was wondering if you could bring us up to speed on that and what your current thinking is on omega-3 supplementation.
So when it comes to, if we're talking about phospholipid, DHA, when it comes to DHA in general, DHA is one of the omega-3s. It's predominantly found in marine sources. Really what I care about is, getting it to the brain. That's like my number one interest. And
she talks about how these fatty acids, they go through the blood barrier. Right there, the blood barrier is DHA that is bound to, and that's the big thing, that the DHA can actually pass through the blood barrier, and whenever it does, other things can attach to it. Things that your brain needs, and it's been linked to things like, what is that? Whenever you start losing your mind, you go senile whenever you're older, Alzheimer's. That is something that my grandmother had whenever she was older. It didn't happen until she was in her mid to late 80s, and she had it in her 90s. And it's one of the things that kind of led to her death in a way. Because what happens is that whenever your Alzheimer's gets bad, is that you don't recognize where you're at, even in your home that you've been living in for decades. And you wake up in the middle of the night, you stumble around, you fall, you hit your head or whatever, and because you're just so old, you don't recover. And that is exactly what happened to her. And they were all saying that, it's like, she's just going to wake up in the middle of the night, she's going to trip and fall, she's going to hit her head, and that's exactly what happened. But other than that, there wasn't a damn thing wrong with that woman. It was amazing. So, if it wasn't for that, who knows how long she could have gone. It was just cool as beans. Anyways, it was not fun watching that. Watching her mind slip and kind of get lost, and also have this uncertainty, almost kind of scared, nervous, because she couldn't understand and recognize where she was. It didn't happen too much with me, because fortunately there was a strong enough connection that she was like, oh yeah, that's somebody right there, because I was her only grandson. So, but definitely, if it wasn't a family member, it was like, who the hell are you? It couldn't be like a friend that she'd known for like the past 5 years. It's like that wasn't a good enough connection. It had to go longer than that. And I didn't like seeing that at all. I just hated it. But what do you do? Well, today, because that was like 10, 15 years ago, something like that. It was a while ago. Like, well, we know things, and whenever you have it kind of in your family, that was what we were talking about, that I showed you with Dr. Rhonda Patrick, talking about how what you do also affects with your children. I don't know if I put that. I think it was this one right here, this link right here. It was yesterday, wasn't it? Wasn't it yesterday? Where she was talking about it, that if you were overweight, does all these things, and it will pass over to your children. All you have to do is just lose the weight, have your children, then you can go back to it if you really wanted to, So.
But
And then she just, see right there with Alzheimer's disease, and whenever she said that, it was like, well, did I put that down? I really want that down. Yeah, there's memory, but I'm going to put in Alzheimer's too. Specifically that word. Like, yeah, because this isn't very expensive either. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So it's omega-3, phospholipid, DHA, triglyceride, and the one that she was using was Nordic Pure 3, which I don't know. But to give you an idea, they're all roughly $30 on these. So I'm going to look at the one, well, no, not that one. She talked about the flavored ones like strawberry. She actually mentioned strawberry by name, that it wasn't quite as good. But as you notice right here, it says children. So, children, taking the strawberry one is probably just fine. And we'll look on Walmart's. See how many it is. It's 180 count. I wonder how many you take a day. Show me pictures. Here. Serving size 2 soft gels. Serving per container 90. So 180 because 2 is 1 serving. And so if you have, that would be 3 months. So that gives you an idea of just how cheap this is. Because whenever I bought this, I didn't, it wasn't, I didn't have a problem buying it because it lasted for a good time and it was cheap. And so with fatty omega-3 acids, 1 to 3 grams each, and then the other one, Joe Rogan takes Carlson's, and that's what she was taking beforehand too. So that one, I found that one exactly, and so we'll just I prefer GNC. By the cost, I know by the cost over there. So 250 soft gels for $46. Like, yeah, I mean that's gonna last you for months. Let's go ahead and Walmart. Now you pay more for the soft gels. So here's Walmart soft gels, $54 for 180. These are kids though, aren't they? Yeah. The soft gels you'll pay for more, but the soft gels are supposed to be easier. So let's go ahead and click on that one more time and let's see what the how many serving sizes one soft gel. Oh, okay. So 180 servings will last you 180 days. So even though it's $54, I mean that's roughly, and especially if you don't do it like the weekends, even if you just miss one, this is going to last you like half the year roughly. So it's like, yeah, $54, but half the year? It's like, yeah, fine. So just make sure that you're aware of that whenever you're buying these supplements.
And what percentage of the...
And then
Yeah, but I take 3 tablespoons. I thought that was all.
Schizophrenic, some schizophrenic.
Is there a diet that increases dopamine? Because you can increase serotonin with HTP and L-tryptophan, which converts to...
And the last video here is Joe Rogan on fish oil, and this is from the YouTube channel Healthy Living, 3 minutes long.
HTP, 5-HTP. What is there anything that ramps up your dopamine?
You know what does in the prefrontal cortex is fish oil. In fact, some schizophrenic patients are prescribed a really high dose because they lack, their dopamine's lower in the prefrontal cortex, and this is sort of associated with a lot of the negative, paranoid, delusional sort of...
When you say high dose, what are you talking about?
Oh, like 6 grams, anywhere between 3 to 6 grams a day.
And what is a normal dose?
Well, if you're talking about normal in the sense where what's typically used in like a randomized controlled trial, it's like 1 or 2 grams.
What is recommended? People like USDA, or what would you recommend?
There's no recommended.
Nothing.
It's not because what's recommended is the so this plant.
This is the one where she's going to talk about what it is that she's
essentially
taking.
need, right? So that's the one that's recommended. But
is there a
and what he
concern
takes.
about potential heavy metal poisonings when you're taking in fish oil, or is that all that stuff? Do they know how to filter that stuff out?
It's definitely purified out, and I mean it depends on the fish oil.
The
fish oil you're getting your fish oil from. But there's International Fish Oil Standards Organization. That a lot of different fish oil companies are tested by them, and they show like all their arsenic, mercury, PCBs, dioxins, like all.
Again, just not from China.
Role oxidation and things like that. So that's really good. It's like I have a friend that makes it in Norway, and he sort of has convinced me that it's like really good. So I really like his fish oil, and he doesn't make it in liquid form. But I do. So I take about like 5 or 6 grams a day. I take a lot.
Wow, 5 or 6 grams.
Yeah, and I'm taking like a high dose DHA because it gets into breast milk, and I haven't 100% weakness on just yet.
How many pills is 5 or 6 grams?
It's like that I take.
Yeah.
So I'm taking 6.
6 pills a day.
Yeah.
Oh, so each pill's a day.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
that's high dose.
It's really high dose. It's a really good fish. It's not. He's working on getting it available in the United States. I think that's supposed to happen like in the next couple of months. But I used to take Carlson.
So he should have it because this was in 2018. So, but then so she used to take Carlson's.
Take Carlson's. Carlson's was the bottle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I take.
Yeah. So you take a lot, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but I take 3 tablespoons. I thought that was a lot.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, I'm going to be taking the Carlsons. Because Joe Rogan, he just has all of this information, and with her too, it's like done deal, sold right there. So I'll use up the last of this, and so then to wrap this all up, what does this really mean? So this is my last week of specifically buying sugar for just the hell of it. That's not going to happen. It's going to be on special occasions only, such as birthdays, holidays, and stuff like that. And even then, I think I'm still going to limit myself. I'm not going to be like that little baby with the cake. You know, it's like, I want to do that. Why are babies going to have all the damn fun like that? It's like, sucks. And then my carbs are definitely going to be getting cut down, except for Saturdays whenever I do my long run of 10 miles. It's like I'll carb up a little bit for that. And then I'm going to eat chia and flax seeds. I'm going to add that to my diet over what I've just learned. I've done other changes to the diet, but with this. And then with fasting, I'm going to do time-restricted eating. My window is going to be between 8 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock in the evening, which is 9 hours per day, and it's going to be all week, all 7 days. Unless there will be a few occasions where that won't happen. So I am going to do fasting once every 4 months for 5 days. I've done it before. I've done it like once, and I was fine. Nothing wrong with it. Maybe a little less with my working out, but I don't know how much it was actually the fasting versus just kind of this weird placebo effect. It's like, oh, I haven't been eating, because I don't think I actually did bad with any of it. So, but I don't know. I'll see as it goes. And so I'm only going to do like a 5-day fast every 4 months. So in other words, 3 times a year. Not a lot. But that really long fast of several days is supposed to be really incredibly helpful based off of everything that we've watched. And then I'm going to do a 1-day fast on the first and third Sunday of every month. So twice a month, just not eating on Sunday. And if for some reason, if I do, it's going to be like little snacks. But I've fasted on just Sundays before, and it was the biggest problem with it is you want to eat when you normally eat. Your cravings do kind of hit, but they go away too, though. So if you eat in the morning, you eat breakfast, that craving will come, and then so if you eat at 8 o'clock and you're done by 9, it's like, well, if you're fasting, you'll get hungry at 8, but then at 9, the craving will be gone, even though you didn't eat. With vitamins, vitamin D, and so there was quite a bit of stuff that I saw, and I think I played that one video yesterday where they were talking about this is very helpful for COVID, to add this to it. That there was apparently quite a bit of research. I left that link in the video so you can go ahead and take a look at it to see if it's something that you're interested in. It just does too much good things for you too, other than that, and kind of made a list about it. I put some of the stuff right here. Well, no, this helps with the aging, and there were other things. I guess I didn't list all the things that it did, but it's like I mean, I was sold on it before. And the Complete Bee activist, and this is from ONNIT, and it's the same company that does that whey protein that I have. And this is, there are several of them that say Complete, but this one is the best one that I could find, and I found this because of Joe Rogan, and it has, again, like I've said, B1, B2, B5, B6, B12, And then that folic acid is like supposed to be really helpful too. And I don't know why they have it in here, but it was just kind of a good little side effect from having that one. With omega-3 fatty acids, I'm going to finish using this one. It has the EPA and the DHA, but then there was that third one. Oh, the ALA fatty acids, which you get from the seeds. So there's 3 of them. One of them is from chia and flax seeds, and then the other 2 are from fish. And then creatine. I just didn't look in creatine. It's been around since the dawn of time. Whenever you take too much of it, it does nothing. It just kind of flushes out of your system. So these are the changes that I'm going to be making. Right there. And that'll do it. So if you found this video interesting and helpful, and you were interested in doing some of these things, if you learned, help me out. I would appreciate it if you would give me a thumbs up and subscribe and become a member. So we got more to come. Thanks for watching. See you again later. Bye.